So welcome guys to Farming Studios. Today I'll be showing you how you can make a very good scene in Blender. So the scene we are going to be making today can be used in any of your projects, and you are going to learn a lot of skills from this series. So make sure you watch it from start to finish. And if this video will be really helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so let's begin. So I'm just going to tell you guys a few basics that you need to know before we continue. The S key is used to scale, the G key is used to grab, and the R key is used to rotate. Okay, so that's enough. These are the main. Then to rotate on your 3D view like this, I'm using my middle mouse button. Then to view out and to view in, I'm using the scroll. But if you're using something like a laptop and you don't have a middle mouse button, you can just come here in your preference, then click on input, then make sure emulate numpad is clicked and continuous grab, then select with the left key, because if you're coming from any other programs like Adobe, Maya, you probably have to use the left key. So after that being done, let's start our scene. So the previous scene that I did, I just made a speed work of an animation, but in this one I'll be explaining every step that I'll take. Okay, so we're going to make this cube in 4 layers. I'm going to explain the main reason later. So I'm going to duplicate this like that. Then after duplicating it, select it, press M on your keyboard, move it to the second layer. I'll click it again. I'm going to duplicate it, press M, move it to the third layer. Then so you see that when we change layers here, when we press the layer, we get a cube. Another layer, we get the selected cube. Okay, so let's go to our first layer there. Then let's scale our cube on the y-axis like that. Then let's click the middle layer. Then let's scale our cube on the x like that. Then let's go on our last layer, click it, and we are going to scale it on the Z like that. Okay, so I'm going to reduce my timeline view there. So now when you press shift on your keyboard and click all of these, you see we have something that looks like a plus. Okay, so now you would wonder why we wouldn't just put these cubes in one layer instead of us maybe like pushing all this in a single layer. So the main reason is that it's going to be easy for me to edit these cubes without an interaction from a different one like that. So let's click all of them like that. Okay, so when that is done, we're going to import, or let's put a mesh which will be a UV sphere. G to grab, then press Z and drag it on top like that. Okay, so our scene starts looking better and better. So before we go further, let's set up our camera. So let's click our camera there, then press 0 on your numpad to go into camera view. Press N on your keyboard and lock camera to view. So what this option will enable us to do is that we can move our camera according to our view. So I'm just going to find a perfect place where to place my camera, and I think this one is fine. Okay, press N on your keyboard and uncheck lock camera to view. So now we can drag our camera like that. Then let's press here on viewport shading and let's render this out. Okay, so you see I have a block that looks like a plus and a UV sphere on top. So let's deal with the lighting now. So I'm going to grab my light while still in render mode. Then I'll drag my light like that. I'll keep moving it like that until I get a perfect view. So according to me, this view looks better. Okay, then I'm going to change the viewport back to solid like that. Then I'm going to press 0 on my numpad to come out of the camera view. Then I'm going to duplicate this on the Y like that. Then I'm going to turn this from a lamp to sun. Yeah. Then you press Alt R to take back the rotation to 0 degrees. Then press 7 on your numpad to go on to top view. Then grab it on your X like that. Then rotate it on your X. And guys, I'm just going to make sure you know Blender very much, because you know the main basics, because I'm not actually explaining most of the keys that I'm doing here. So if you think maybe you're getting confused about how I'm moving the objects, just comment so that I can make a video for you where I'm going just to explain about the basics that you need to know. Okay, so I'm going to press Shift Z. So in the viewport here, instead of us, whenever we want to render this out coming into our viewport, we have a shortcut where you press Shift and Z to render out. Okay, so you can see that our cube looks better with this light. So when I click this eye, you can see how it looks without the light. Okay, so that's better. Okay, so let's put a plane to act as our ground. Add plane, then scale it using the S key. Then I'm going to grab it on the Z axis until it touches it like that. Then let me just scale it more like that. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, so let's go into our camera view and press Shift Z, so you can see we get a better view of our scene here. So you can have one problem here, that we can see two shadows, this shadow here and the other shadow there, which is just so unrealistic. So we're going to click on our sun lamp here. Then I need to turn off some shadow here, no shadow, and you can see we don't get a shadow from our sun, but the shadow comes from the lamp there. So we're going to do this vice versa. So we need shadows from this, but from the other lamp we need no shadows. So we won't see shadows from there, but we'll only get the shadows from the lamp, which is the sun, which looks more realistic. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is let's animate these cubes. Let's add modifiers on these cubes to make them look better. So I'm going to put my 3D cursor here. Then I'm going to import. So Blender has some meshes with it, and I'm going to make the Susan mesh like that. Then I'm going to scale it up. Okay, then after doing this, where's my camera view? Okay, here's my camera view. So I'm going to actually set this monkey straight with the vertical cube here on the y-axis. So I'm going to grab him on the y-axis like that, then G to scroll down like that. Okay, that's perfect. So after doing that, you can see he's extruding here, and I don't want this guy to be extruded, so I'll make sure it's completely up. Then we're going to add a modifier to our Susan monkey. We'll go in modifiers, then we're going to add a subdivision modifier, and we're going to subdivide them about 2 times. Okay, let's just subdivide once and apply this, then with smooth shade. Okay, so you can see our monkey looks smooth, and we are going to add some colors to this. So I want this monkey to be sort of green. So let me see how this looks like. Okay, not that type of green. Okay, that type of green is better. Then I want to scale up my UV sphere there. Grab it on the top, and I want it to touch my tip here exactly like that. Okay, that's perfect. Then I'm going to smooth shade it. Then I'm going to add color to it like that. I'll add a red up to there. Okay, so let's go into our camera view and render that out. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to block out some cubes behind here in a different layer. So let's hold this layer like that, then shift S to bring snap menus, then cursor to center, then shift A to add a cube, then grab it on the X axis like that. Then I'm going to scale it on the Y. Then I'm going to scale it on the Z like that. Okay, so then I'm going to select all of these layers like that. So you can see it's on top very much, so I'll grab it down. Okay, then I'm going to scale it on the Y like that. Press 0 to go into our camera view, Shift Z, and you can see we now have a cube there, which looks perfect. Okay, so let's finish up with our cube. So actually, I'm going to add some physics to this cube. Why? Because this ball will be actually knocked off to hit the cube here. So we actually need physics for both of these. So I'm going to grab it on the top like that. Then I'm going to go into edit mode. I'll select the top face, and I'll grab it on the top like that. Press 0. Then you see we have a better shot. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is set up our gun. Actually, okay, it's not actually a gun, but it will be something that will hit this ball. So I'm going to select my plane here, then I'm going to go into edit mode, then I'll select edge mode, click this one, then I'm going to grab it on the X axis up to somewhere here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to object mode, then I'm going to add okay, I wanted to add an armature, but it's going to give us a lot of work because we will need to start animating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cylinder. Then I'm going to grab it on the X like that. Then let's create something that looks like a gun. So I'll scale it up to this size, rotate it 90 degrees on the Y like that. Then scale it on an X slightly. So one thing we need to make sure is that our sphere is lined in the same direction with our cylinder here. So let's test this out here. Then I grab it on an X. So you see it goes in right there, which is perfect. Okay. So the next thing is let's duplicate this cube on the X axis. This will be more like our stand. And there we go. It looks perfect. So I'm going to give this a color of black. and you can see all the cubes change to black, but that's fine. Okay, so another option we're going to turn on is environment lighting. Then I'll change this to sky color like that. Okay, let me try out white. Okay, white looks better, but that's too much, so I'm going to set it to 0.5. Okay, 0.4. 0.4. That's better because we're able to see our shadows. Okay, so since we have made our scene and it's not yet done, so let's go ahead and start some tweaking here. So I'm going to add a physics tab to this cube here. So you come in your properties tab, go onto the physics tab, then rigid body. Okay, so when you add a rigid body to your scene or to your object or to your mesh, its dynamic is always on. So what this simply means is that you see that when you play your animation, the cube goes down. Why? It's because dynamic here is on. So dynamic is for objects that are going to actually act, gravity will act upon it. So when you see that when we uncheck that and when we play it, nothing happens. Okay, so we are going to add this the sphere. We're going to add rigid body to it too. Dynamic will be on, but we're going to click another option which will be animated. So what this will actually do is that it will allow us to make some changes to animate this, which is good. So I'll come to these options later, but meanwhile let's just use the default. Okay, so for us to make our scene interesting, this has to be like, okay, I'm totally changing my mind now. Instead of this being here, let's put it on top here so that he can look like it's the label for this place or some. Then I'll rotate it Z 90 degrees. Okay, then I'm going to move this guy on X like that and on Y, then up to all the way the top there like that. Okay, you can now see that our animation looks better. You can see our animation looks better now. Okay, so that's perfect. So now, since this has rigid body and animated on, and this has the rigid body and animated on, let's also animate the flow itself, because when the ball hits the flow, it needs to bounce. So we'll scale this on the Y. That's the same for this on the Y like that. Then let's add rigid body to it too. Then turn off dynamic. Okay. So let's edit our cylinder first. I'm going to go into edit mode. Click first mode, click this first, then I'll press I on my keyboard to extrude inwards like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude inside like that. Then I'm going to extrude inside again, but I'm going to scale this one up. Then I'm going to extrude it all the way there like that. Okay, then I'm going to press I again like that. Then I'm going to extrude this all the way up to there. But before I extrude it, let's press Ctrl Z. I just want to scale this even a little bit more like that. Okay, so now let's add some keyframes to our cylinder. So how do you make keyframe and what are keyframe? So keyframes is actually a property that will allow us to animate this cube this cylinder, sorry, without us adding any bones to it. So I'm going to come here on our vertex, on our the type active data to display and edit object data. Then you actually see there is an option here which is called shape keys. So hit the plus button and it says basis. So what this basis means is that I've actually selected the wrong mesh there. So I'm just going to cancel that, then click my cylinder here, then press basis. So this basis is actually how the object is looking the time you're adding the keyframe, the shape key. That's the main pose of the object. So to actually add another pose, you hit it once and you see we get a name of key 1. So we're just going to rename this to hit bow, hit bow, like that, hit bow, yeah. Then we're going to go into edit mode, then grab this on the, I'm going to extrude this on the x-axis up to here. Okay, so when I go back to object mode, you see it gets back. Why? Because the value of that shape key is 0. So in order for us to see change in that in the cylinder, we increase this and you see it extrudes. Okay, it works perfect. So let's make our ball to be hit now. So we are also going to add collision to this so that it can actually collide with our when it hits the ball has to be hit. So let's make this a rigid body, turn off dynamic, but check animated because we'll be actually animating this. Then we'll make the mass 2. Okay, then this has to be cylinder like that. Then okay, so collision, use custom collision margin. Okay, so here is so the main reason I added this plus was just to help us center our frame here. So I'm going to click all of these cubes like that, then I'll grab them on the X close to our gun. So let's just see where our keyframe ends here. Okay, so you can see it ends here. So let's just grab these like that, then at least move it up to here. Then grab it on the Z axis. Okay, that's perfect. Then we are going to move our sphere on the X up to here like that. Then I'll grab this on the Z to there like that. Then okay, that's fine. I'll move it on my X even more. Then scale this up like that. Then grab this a little bit up. Okay. So now I'll scale this on X to touch the cube like that. Then why can I make this even more way cooler? By actually grabbing this face and grab it on X until it touches our here up to here like that. Yeah, then I can even extrude it, then rotate it on the Y. I can extrude it, rotate it on the Y. I can extrude it to there, then rotate it on my Y, and I can extrude that. Okay, so this just actually adds more feel to our scene. As you can see, the shadows are perfect. So when we press 0, go into our camera mode, press N, then lock camera to view, then just bring it back somewhere here like that. Okay, like that. So let's just make a test render. Just place this to 100% and just render this out and see what we get here. Okay. So I hope you guys are learning something from this video, and I just hope it's going to help you a lot, because I didn't want to make it a part 1 part 2 video. I just wanted it to be in a single video so that you guys can actually get the full feel, the full concept of this video. So make sure to watch it until the end, because we'll keep adding more cool stuff to it. Okay, so the second thing we're going to do now, because we're done with modeling, everything is okay. As you can see, our scene looks good, very, very good. So now what we're going to do is we are now going to make sure everything is working. So guys, what we're doing now is the most difficult part. So we'll come in our shape keys here, then we'll make sure the value is 0. Okay, then I'm going to press I here on my value, and you see it turns yellow. So what it simply means here is that we have added a keyframe to our cylinder, which will be actually a gunshot. Yeah. So, because the first thing is we are going to animate our camera moving around in our scene, then boom, it's going to hit the ball. So I'm actually going to add the keyframe here. Then the camera will move maybe up to the 60. Okay, let's just say frame 60. I'll press I again on my value. Then just after 60, for the ball to go very quickly, let's make this in 4 frames. So using my arrows on my keyboard, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames. Then the value will turn up to there. Then I'll press I. Then just after the frame 7, so 7 divided by 2, so we're just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I want this pose to be here for about 2 frames. So 1, 2, 3. I'll press I here. Then after 4 frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames, I want this to go back in. Then I'll press I on my keyboard to add a keyframe. Okay, so starting from frame 40, let's just watch how our gun shoots. Okay, so you see it shoots nicely. Okay. Okay, I like the movement, except it doesn't move perfectly as a gun should move. So that tells me we need to tweak it in our graph editor. So how can we tweak this in our graph editor is actually by changing our timeline to graph editor, then select all the keyframes, then press T, then change this from Bezier curve to linear. So now you see that when we play our animation, it moves constantly. Okay, that's better. So let's change this back to timeline, and we are going to make impact to our bow now. So let's see how we can do that. If we duplicate this, then rotate it on the Y 90 degrees like that, then grab it on a Z axis, then pull it back like that. Yeah, Then let me just play this and see what happens. Whoa. So I would rather turn animated on so that it can't act to gravity in the scene. Okay, then I'll actually turn off dynamic for this one. Okay, so let's try to animate this like from the keyframe here 40. Then let's grab this, press I, location. Then just after a few frames, maybe one, two, three, 4, 5, 6. I want this to reach here. Then I'll add location. Yeah, probably something like that. So let's see what will happen to our scene now. Okay, exactly. So that works. So actually there are some mistakes we made with our uh cylinder here, and I've actually corrected it. So now you can see that when our black cube hits the ball gets hit. Okay. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to add rigid body to this one too, then turn off dynamic. Then let's play our animation once more. Gets hit, bounces there, off it falls. Okay. So this is a very good animation, guys. And let's go on and set our camera. So for our camera, we should just turn auto keyframe on, press 0 on our numpad. So I want this animation to start really close to this ball, like very close. So I'll make sure I'm in my camera view, then I'll go close to the ball like this, like that. Then just after a couple of frames, maybe 20, I'll zoom out like that in this direction. Then maybe on frame just before the animation starts here, I'm going to zoom out like that. So let's just see how our camera motion is as of now. I'm going to click that off, then actually zoom out like that. So let's play this. Poof. Okay. So uh turn on lock camera to view, then just after click your camera to see where the last keyframe is, then just zoom it more in this direction like that. Yeah. Then let's actually add some shading to this. Maybe what color should it be? Because it's okay, let's just give it a brown color, like. Then okay, that's better. Then we're actually going to delete this keyframe out of our scene, so we won't have that animation we add. So now let's play this. Okay, so I just have to tweak my camera somewhere here. Frame 20. I don't want to see the back of my cylinder, because that will actually reveal my secrets behind the scene. So that's better. Then when it reaches frame 100, I'm going to move it slightly inside like that. Then I'll change the gun's color to actually something white. Okay, let me make it blue. Let me see how that blue looks like. No, that looks bad. That looks ridiculous. So let's try something purple, something darker like that, then something like that. Okay, what of that? Okay, that's better. Then, least but not last, we'll zoom in slightly. Okay, just somewhere there. Then, I'm going to turn off this and press I. Location, rotation, and scale. Then, right on the next frame, I'm going to move my camera all the way to this view like that. Okay, I'll bring this in this direction, then press I, location. So now you see between these two frames, I have a rapid change in the camera view, which looks good. So let's play this and see. Okay, there. And it changes until the ball comes out of our scene. Okay. So we have 250 frames. So it's time to now polish up our animation. Then we're going to actually polish this up by adding less friction to this guy here in the physics tab. Let me reduce the friction. So let's see what this change will actually do. Okay. Let me see how it heats up. Okay. Then might just want to increase the bounciness. So let's see how that will affect it. Okay, so let's just put the bounciness at 1. Then play our animation again. And see it now looks like a real animation. So one more thing that I'm going to do is translation, so amount of linear velocity that is lost over time. So I'll just put this at 0, then I'll actually play this, hit it. Oh, actually, let me put this maybe up to there, then let me play my animation. Whoa, that's some good effect over here, but I'm going to put it somewhere there. Then when I play this, it gets hit, then actually bounces off. So the translation should be low. For our bow, maybe let's just put it 1. Then let's play this and see what happens. Okay. So I'm going to put this at 0.04 because that will be better and it will give it the bouncy. Okay. That's good. So let's give our flow a very good texture. And so I'm going to add new material. Then I want it to be a slight dark brown, like this color sort of. Then right here in my texture tab, I'll add a new texture. Then I'm going to put magic, no, not marble. This, okay. So you have to scroll down into your textures tab here and change this from purple to your other color you need. I prefer blue because this looks better. Then for our wall there, we'll add a new texture. Then do you have a texture name like wall or something? Okay, so let's just give this wood. Then we'll actually give it a brown color like that. Okay, Then right here in our texture tab, I'll change this from brown to a lighter brown. So now you see that looks slightly like wood, though it's bright. Okay, that's smash. That's smash. Okay, that's better. So let's go ahead and fix up that to be cube. Let me see. Then no, instead of UV, let's click here and say global. Okay, so now you see we get a good texture there. So now the last thing we're going to do is improve our light, because the environment lighting is not the best, but let's enjoy the privilege we have for the lamps. Grab it on a Y like that, rotate it on your Y, rotate it on X to give good shadows. Then actually this lamp will probably serve us good purpose. Drag it on top like that, then actually grab it on a Y. Then I'll change this from a lamp to a mesosphere. Okay, so you can see it actually points in the wrong direction. That's better. Okay, so now when I press Ctrl Z, you see I get good image being rendered in less time. So this is when now we can tweak and add some environment lighting, then give it a strength of 0.2 like that, and that's perfect. Maybe, okay, that's fine. Maybe even 0.15. Okay, that even works fine. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a cube and scale it so that everything will be inside. Go into our camera view, play it and see if it goes out of our cube, and there you see everything is fine. So let's add some color to our cube. Any color can work. So if we just put some, maybe somehow purple like that, or even green, brown like that. Okay, green and slightly dark. Okay, so to me that's fine. Grab our Susan monkey out on X like that. Okay, so we're going to save our project. I'll save it on my desktop, and I'm going to say simple scene, because this is just a simple scene I was making. Simple scene, then I'll save it as a blend file. Okay, so we're going to come here on our render option. Then I'm actually going to use 720p. Then on my shading view here, I'll turn off environment map. Then I'll give it a name on my desktop. So let's go ahead and give this a name of scene bow hit. Bow hit like that. Then accept. Then change the format to FFmpeg, but you can use AVI raw frame saver if you really want to save it in a sequency format. So our scene is now set and everything is now okay. So you can see that it's perfect. Okay, so let's try to smooth shade this. Yeah, that's better. Then I think we're done with our animation. So now something we're going to do is render it out as an animation like that. and here you see its stats. Okay, so come on, you can take a shot, you can do this, try it, and you can post your outcome video how you're going to do it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe